Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a fun one because we are going to be playing with the new Colourpop High Tide collection. I tried to dupe this and I had a really hard time doing so. I think it's a very unique palette. Spoiler alert, I do enjoy this palette. I'm not going to make you watch till the end to find that out. I got this palette as well as the something feather. It's the magenta one. Okay, I found it. It is the Fine Feather palette. This is what it looks like. If you'd like to see this type of video, but on this palette, just let me know. I will probably film it either way. I really like duping things and I really like playing with new eyeshadow palettes. So my next video will probably be on this palette, unless the comments say like, no, we don't want that. Today's video is on this one, the High Tide palette. It's the teal toned palette. I wish they made this like a bigger collection. They kind of made it their two mini collections. So it came with this, a Super Shock Shadow duo and a cream gel liner duo. I wish they made it like a whole thing, but it's okay. A little life update. Last Thursday was Canada Day and I did not do anything. We did not celebrate Canada Day just because of all of the information that has come out regarding the Indigenous children in residential schools in Canada. I just thought it would be kind of inappropriate to be celebrating that, to be celebrating the country and the government that implemented that. So on Canada Day, we did not do anything. Also, it is July 5th when I'm filming this, so happy 4th of July to all of my American friends. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. And without further ado, let's get into the demo and the tutorial. This is the finished look that I completed and I really like it. I think it turned out really pretty. So if you want to see how I achieved this look, then just keep watching. Okay, my friends, so I just want to quickly show you the High Tide palette. I keep forgetting what this is called. So if you see me look down at the palette to read the name, that's why. I don't know why I have such a hard time remembering this one. First of all, packaging, always beautiful. It kind of looks like seashell detailing almost, or maybe like a sea urchin. I see a sea urchin now that I've said that. I don't know, it reminds me of multiple parts of the ocean. So I think that it's really nice artwork without it being like too obvious, you know? So this is the inside, there's no mirror, and this is what it looks like. How beautiful, right? This little mini collection also came with two Super Shock shadows. I know this one called Coconut. I think it's one of their original shades even. I could be wrong, but it's definitely an older shade. This one I've never tried. It's called Sure Thing. Very beautiful. I'll swatch both of them. Coconut does stain. Okay, I'll swatch these after because I know this one stains. So last night I went through my entire collection trying to find dupes and I couldn't. I love doing this exercise because it really shows me if a palette is unique. And there's so much makeup on the market right now that if something is truly unique, it feels easier to recommend. You know, it's like unlikely that you'll have something similar at home because the amount of times I have bought an eyeshadow palette and realized that it is exactly the same as everything else in my collection. Ugh, I've done it too many times to count and it's really frustrating. To me, it just feels like a waste of money when that happens. So I like to try and dupe things in my collection because I do have quite a large collection. So if something is easily dupable, I will most likely have it. I didn't really have anything similar. So these are all of the shadows that I pulled. I didn't even restrict it to just Colourpop because I just had such a hard time duping this. I don't have a ton of teals in my collection though, I will say. So here is the original and then this one is my duped. And as you can see, they are quite different. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's just get into swatching. I'm actually gonna take off my engagement ring for this. I don't know why, I just feel like it gets in the way when I try to swatch and I don't want it to get too dirty and stained and stuff. So the first shade, oh, also I just realized I went to go look up the palette on colourpop.com. It comes with a cream gel liner set. I only have one of the shades though, so I will go get that, but I don't have the shade Zulu. They didn't send me the cream gel liners for whatever reason, which is okay because I have tons of cream gel liners. Like I don't even know what to do with them all. So anyways, so let's get into the first shade. It's called Just a Splash. Colourpop describes this one as a soft pastel aqua with silver pinpoints. This is one of their sequin formulas, which I don't usually like, but I feel like the silver pinpoints in this, hold on, let me see if I can get it to focus. But I feel like the silver pinpoints in this shade are like pretty pronounced. So I'm kind of okay with this one just because I feel like it's not just like really faint sparkles, I guess, if that makes sense. I didn't have anything even remotely similar to this shade. So that is so pretty. I really like the sparkle. So the first option that I provided, since I didn't have an exact dupe, I took this out of the Mint to Be palette, and it is the shade Get Fresh. This one has a lot more green to it, and it is matte. So again, not even really remotely similar, but it's the closest I had. So these are the two compared. This is the one from the High Tide palette, and then this is the Mint to Be palette. I feel like my camera's having trouble focusing today. So the other option I gave 3 options because honestly, I just didn't really have anything similar. This is from the Nook Ink palette from the Animal Crossing collab. This is a pressed glitter, so I figured I'd include something that has that kind of sparkle, you know? But this one has like more rainbow glitter particles. None of these are accurate. As I said, I didn't have anything similar to my collection, but... Oh, bless me. Oh God. That after sneeze was painful. But yeah, so this is the Nook Ink shade CEO. And then the last one that I had one more. I think it's also from the Mint to Be collection. Let me just see. Yeah, this is from the Mint to Be palette as well. And it's the shade Play It Cool. And it's a shimmer. So we have a variety of finishes that aren't quite the sequin formula. Again, this one has a lot more green to it. And I think these two are a lot lighter. So this is a shade from the High Tide collection, Just a Splash. This is the shade Get Fresh from the Mint to Be palette. This is the shade CEO from the Nook Ink quad, and then this is, what was this called again? Play It Cool from, again, the Mint to Be palette. So yeah, I didn't really have anything similar, but I did give a couple options. I think it would give a similar vibe, you know, like if you're tight on money and you really like that color. Now I'm gonna have glitter all over the back of my hand for the rest of the video, so please forgive me for that. Wow, the formula on these is so nice. The next shade is called Currents, and Colourpop describes this one as a mid-tone seafoam green. Very pretty. It's a matte formula. Again, didn't really have something super similar, so I went with the shade Seltzer from the Mint to Be palette. It's kind of similar in color. It's a little bit lighter, but it is that sequin formula, so it kind of has a little more sparkle. But the thing with the sequin formula is that you can use them as mattes, so I think it would be fairly similar on the eyes. This is the shade Currents, and this is the shade Seltzer, so definitely more similar than my first dupe. It's just a little more blue and maybe a little bit lighter. Next up, we have the shade Free Floatin'. This puts the song Free Fallin' in my head for whatever reason. I had it stuck in my head all last night. Colourpop describes this one as a silvery metallic aqua. I feel like this is so pretty with that touch of almost dullness to it. I think it's the silver. It's just not as bright. It's a little more muted. And I was really surprised by this dupe because it's fairly similar, but they don't look similar in the pan like at all. This is from the Colourpop So Jaded palette. So this is Aquamarine from the So Jaded palette. They are similar. The Aquamarine shade is just a little bit lighter. This is the shade Free Floatin', and then this is the shade Aquamarine, but I think they would definitely give a very similar vibe in an eye look. So I have another dupe. This one's not that similar, but I feel like if you have this palette, you could do something similar with it. This is from the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. That's the only palette that I used that wasn't Colourpop in this video. I just don't really have any other teals that aren't Colourpop, so. This is the shade Flow, and it is significantly darker than the shade in the palette, but it does have that kind of muted grayness that is similar to the shade, so I wanted to include it just if you do have this palette because it is a newer one. So I mean, it's kind of similar, right? I mean, not exact, but decently similar. They have like the same kind of undertone. I think the one in the Colourpop palette, Free Floatin', it looks like it's a bit lighter, but then you put it in the light and it doesn't look that different. But yeah, so this is Free Floatin', this is Aquamarine, and this is Flow. They're all really beautiful. I am very much drawn to these types of shades. Okay, so next up we have the shade Urchin, and Colourpop describes this one as a matte true teal, and I would agree. I feel like that's just, you know, what you think of when you think of the color teal. Oh no, sorry, Colourpop describes it as a rich matte teal. I don't know what I said. I think I said true teal. The shade that I came up with as a dupe is from the Colourpop So Jaded palette with Kathleen Lights. I noticed it wasn't on the website last time I was there. I didn't check again, but hopefully they're still selling that because that palette slaps. It is so good. And these are rather similar. I think the one from the High Tide palette might be a smidge lighter. That's this shade right here, Urchin. And then this one is Turquoise from the So Jaded palette. But again, very similar, and it'll give you similar vibes. I feel very congested today. I know it's like kind of random, just like a little side note. Maybe I have some like hay fever going on or something. Definitely maybe something allergy related. Okay, so the next shade in the palette is called Must See but instead of S-E-E, it's S-E-A, so it's like punny, you know? Colourpop describes this one as a metallic aqua with golden highlights. Oh, look how metallic that is. So pretty, right? And the dupe I found for this one, it's not exact. Again, none of these are exact. I found this palette very hard to dupe. This one is the most similar that I had. It is a recent shade to my collection, a recent addition. It's from the Colourpop Hello Kitty quad, the Cocoa Cutie one. I'll link my video on that collection in the cards up above. This one is a bit brighter. This is the shade Shaved Ice. It is a bit brighter, but again, pretty similar in my opinion. Okay, next up, this shade was the hardest to dupe. Well, I didn't even dupe it. I couldn't find anything even remotely similar. This one was definitely the hardest out of the entire palette. My dupe is like way off. Oh, it's so pretty and it's so unique. I love this shade. This is the shade Flora, and Colourpop describes it as a smoky matte teal. And that's the part I love about it, is that smoky component. Is it even focusing? Okay, there we go. I think it's focused now. It definitely has that smoky gray element to it that makes this shade really unique. I could not find anything even remotely similar. The closest I could find, again, was from the Mint to Be palette, and this is the shade Chill Factor. And the only reason I chose this, honestly, is because it has that similar gray undertone smokiness as the shade in the High Tide palette. But as you can see, the one that I chose here, this is the shade from the Mint to Be palette. It is significantly more green. So they're not even really similar. They just have like a similar vibe with that like gray muted undertone. But yeah, I could not find a dupe for that in my entire collection, like at all, which is really nice. I feel like I have so much eyeshadow that I'm like, there's no way that a brand can come out with a color that I don't already have, and I stand corrected. It's very unique. So if you're looking for a palette that is more unique, I feel like this one's a good one, you know? The next shade we have is called Muscle Beach. Colourpop describes this one as a metallic smoky teal with a green duochrome finish. I think this one's pretty unique. I mean, not unique, like there's a lot of shades like this, but I don't know. I think it's like the depth that makes it different in a way. The closest I could find from Colourpop was actually from the Disney Villains Misunderstood palette. It's not like super similar. This one pulls more bluey purple. This is the shade Jetsam from the Disney Villains collection. It kind of flashes similar. This is the shade Muscle Beach from the High Tide, and then this is Jetsam from the Disney Villains. Kind of has a similar like duochrome element, but yeah, not super similar. And then the other one I found was again from the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. This is the shade Equilibrium, and I think it's pretty similar. The Colourpop Muscle Beach shade has a stronger green flash for sure. So again, like a fairly unique shade, but like not unique at the same time. You see a lot of these shades that flash tealy green with like a smoky base, but there's something different about it that makes it unique. Really pretty, but those are the best that I could find in my collection. So this is the next shade. This is called New Wave, and Colourpop describes this one as a bright matte teal, and I would agree with that. It definitely is a lot brighter than the other matte shades in this palette. And the dupe that I found is, again, not really a dupe. This is the shade Iced Cold from the Mint to Be palette, and it is a little bit lighter. Similar tones though. This is the shade from the High Tide palette, and then this is the shade from the Mint to Be palette. So kind of similar, but still pretty different. And finally, the last shade in the palette is the shade Lunar, and Colourpop describes this one as a blackened matte teal. And to dupe this one, I used the shade PNW from the Colourpop and Raw Beauty Christie palette. I feel like I've been using this shade to dupe a lot of what Colourpop has released lately. My fingers are like so stained now. Okay, next up, let's swatch the Super Shock shadows. I didn't really have anything to dupe these, so I didn't even really try. This first shade is called Coconut. Yeah, Coconut, and this stains, if you were wondering. This one isn't as teal as it is, pulls more blue in my opinion. It's more like a royal blue with like a little bit of green in it. Like it's like a teal duochrome, but I feel like the base is like more of a royal blue. Such a pretty shade though. Wow. I love Super Shock shadows so much. The next shade is Shore Thing, like shore as in like the shore, you know, instead of like S-U-R-E, just in case anyone was confused. It's punny, okay? And this one is super beautiful. It's a lot brighter and a lot more of a bright true teal, I would say. So these are the two Super Shocks that come with the collection. So pretty, right? And then finally, we have the Cream Gel Liner Duo. I don't have the shade Zulu that comes with the little duo, but I do have the shade Catsuit. So I will go ahead and swatch that for you. I've used this quite a bit recently. I feel like it goes with like a lot of the vibes that Colourpop's putting out. I'll probably also use it today. So yeah, this is the shade Catsuit, the Cream Gel Liner, super pretty. So yeah, as you can see, that shade, well, I don't know if you can see on the viewfinder. It doesn't appear to be really showing up, but the shade Coconut really stains my skin. And that is it for for swatches. Now let's get on to a little eyeshadow demo. Okay, before I get into the demo, I just want to ask a question very quickly. I have talked about it on my Instagram stories, but a lot of you don't follow me on Instagram, and that's fine, but I just want to like ask here to see if anyone has other suggestions. So I ordered a foundation set for my makeup artist kit, but they only delivered to the USA. So I shipped it to a good friend of mine, and she lives in the state below me. So she received the package okay, and she was going to ship it to me. We shipped via USPS, which was a mistake. I don't know the US postal system, so I wish I had have known this earlier, but apparently this happens a lot. So yeah, it's lost. It was supposed to be delivered on June 17th, I think was the last day that it was supposed to be delivered, and it has not moved since June 10th. It is at a shipping facility in Pittsburgh. So does anyone know how I can address this? I've opened an inquiry, but that's supposed to take 32 days. The whole issue, honestly, I don't mind waiting if it isn't lost. The whole issue is it's for my business and I'm supposed to be opening soon. And it's very stressful. This is like actually keeping me up at night. So if anyone has any suggestions on how I can address this further, please let me know. I'm so stressed about it. Like I'm losing sleep, man. I have had some suggestions from people on Instagram. Like someone said if I paid with my credit card in full, that it should be insured. I called MasterCard. Unfortunately, it is not because it was delivered to my friend safely and it got lost shipping from her. So yeah, I am not eligible for credit card insurance. Package was insured, but not for the full amount. So I don't know. If anyone has any suggestions on what I can do, that would be greatly appreciated. Right now it's looking like I'm gonna have to repurchase it, and it's not a cheap purchase. It was like $500, 400 US dollars, which is like, I've honestly spent close to 600 Canadian, and I don't have the funds to purchase it again. I'm probably gonna have to go into a little bit of debt to do that. So if anyone has any suggestions on how I can get that back, or like, you know, inquire further, that would be greatly appreciated. I've tried calling. I can't get through to a representative or like a live person. It's all automated. So I'm just stuck between a rock and a hard place. So if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. Even if you think they're stupid, I don't care. Like, please, any help is so very much appreciated. Enough with the stressful topics. Let's get on to a demo. I'm gonna zoom you guys in. I think I'm gonna do something a little funkier today. I'm gonna do like a full cut crease, and then I think I'm gonna do some rhinestones. Anyway, you'll see. So as per usual, I'm gonna go in with my e.l.f. hydrating camo. So I'm just going to prep my lids as per usual with this product, and I'm just going to use my little beauty blender dupe to blend that out. And I'm not going to set the concealer. I've been really into not setting it recently, so I'm not gonna do that, but I am going to take an angled brush. This is the Precision Angle by Sigma and Jordan Liberty. And I'm gonna go into this shade here called Urchin. And I'm just going to grab this on the little angled brush, and I'm going to apply this in the shape that I'm wanting. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be like more of a rough sketch. And since I didn't set the concealer, if I do screw up, I can always clean it up without things getting messy. So instead of taking it down, like where my eye would naturally kind of slope downwards, I'm going to bring it up towards the brow. I just feel very stressed today. Again, like I said about the package, you know, my hands are shaky. Like I'm just very anxious and stressed about me reopening in the near future. It's hard. Like I feel like no one's talking about it, but I'm really struggling with this whole reopening. I've been locked in my house for like over a year now, and I'm just expected to integrate back into society. I don't know, it's scary. And I'm just supposed to interact with clients and stuff like nothing ever happened. And like, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared that I'm not gonna perform makeup artist wise. I don't know. I'm scared. I'm very much a perfectionist to my detriment. So I'm really scared that I've lost all of my skills and my ability to do makeup on other people. It really scares me. Anyway, I said I was gonna get away from anxious topics, and here I am just talking about anxious stuff again. My whole point was that is the reason that I'm doing something a little more creative today, to try and take my mind off that. The next thing I'm going to do is go into this lighter shade. It's called Currents. It's a very beautiful shade. It's like a light seafoam. And I'm taking this on a pencil brush. This is also by Sigma and Jordan Liberty. It's their pencil brush. Also, if this creases because I didn't set it, that's fine. I'm going to clean it up anyway. And I'm just taking this and kind of applying it over top. And I'm gonna use that as kind of like my blending shade. I don't even know if what I'm explaining is even making sense, but that's pretty. Okay, and then I am actually gonna add a little bit of a deeper shade to the crease. I'm gonna go into the shade Lunar, the deepest shade, but I'm gonna grab it on the angled brush again, because that's the shade I don't don't want to take too high since it is the deepest. And I'm just going to apply that shade where I applied originally that urchin shade. I dissected a sea urchin in university. I don't like dissecting things. I hated that. I had a lab partner, I mean, as one does when they're in university biology, and I let her do everything. My degree is in biology, but it's in genetics. So I never really had to dissect anything. Like I didn't really work with animals. I worked with DNA. I had this one class, animal form and function, and I had to frickin' dissect things. I had to dissect a living earthworm. I felt so guilty all day. It was alive. I made my lab partner do everything. Bless her soul, honestly, because she did all that like a champ, and I was just like cowering in the corner. Then I am going to take my Urban Decay the Fix Pressed Powder. Also news in my life, we're having an engagement party finally. We got engaged February of 2020 and we're just allowed to have an engagement party now. We're gonna do it in August and I'm really looking forward to having all of our family together. So I'm having a lot of fun planning that, mostly because I'm not doing the majority of the planning. I'm not a very good planner. I'm too laid back. I'm like, yeah, that all looks lovely, but I have to make a decision and pick one. I don't know, that's hard. Okay, so I am gonna do some more blending, but first I wanna take care of the lid situation. So I'm first going to take my pointy Q-tips and a little bit of micellar water, and I'm just going to clean up the concealer just for like a super clean and sharp look. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because I will be applying concealer again. I just like to clean it up a little bit. Then I'm going back in with my e.l.f. Camo Concealer just on the back of my hand, and I'm going to take this little detailer brush. This is a Stilazzi Mini Definer S206. I really like this for applying concealer to like cut creases and stuff. And I'm just going to do just that, reapply the concealer, and this is where I'm really gonna focus on making things sharp. Okay, and then on the lid, I'm gonna go in with this shade. It's the lightest shimmer in the palette. It's called Free Floatin'. I wanna sing the song, but I'm scared I'm gonna get a copyright strike if I do that. So I'm just grabbing this on a MAC 242, I think it is. The number is worn off. I bought this when MAC was cruelty free. That color is so pretty. I love the silvery element to the shade. It really makes it beautiful to me. So I am gonna go back, just because it's not quite as sharp as I want it, I'm gonna go back into that deepest shade called Lunar, again on a little angled brush, and I'm just going to really make that sharp. Okay, so I'm really liking how that is turning out, and I'm going to add winged liner. I was gonna use that deepest shade to do some shadow liner, but I think I just wanna do a black wing. So I'm gonna use my KVD tattoo liner, and I probably won't be able to talk while I do this. Okay, then I am just going to dampen a little cotton pad with some micellar water and just kind of clean up the wing. And then I'm also just going to kind of clean up where I brought that shadow. So I am just going to pop off camera and I'm going to finish the rest of my face. I'm also going to do my other eye, and then I can come back and we can finish up the eyes, and then I can give you my final thoughts. Okay friends, so I have my foundation on. I used the LYS Beauty. I keep forgetting it's LYS and not LYS. It stands for Love Yourself. How sweet is that? So I used the Triple Fix Serum Foundation. It's a mouthful. Love this thing. It's really beautiful. And now that I have a little more of a tan going, I'm not like tanned by any means, but I have a little more color to my skin. It matches me a lot better than it did when I first got it. I think I first got it in like March, and there's no sun here in March. So I have applied my concealer, and I just want to do my lower lash line before I move on to the rest of my face. So I'm going to do that on camera first. I'm going to take the deepest shade, Lunar, just again on a small angle brush, and I'm just applying it to the lower lash line, just like that. I'm applying all of this before I set my under eyes, just so that it's kind of like true to the color that is on the upper lid. And then I'm just gonna take the mid-tone shade Urchin and just kind of place that underneath. And then I'm also just gonna tap out that little crease there. And then I'm gonna take the lightest shade Currant, and I'm just going to place that underneath everything. Then I'm going to take the cream gel liner in the shade Catsuit. I think I used this in my Lush Life video as well. I'll link that video up in the cards. Been doing a lot of teals and blues lately, so this has kind of been my go-to waterline liner. Then I'm going to take a little bit of my Laura Mercier translucent powder. I stole this one from my kit because I got a new one for my kit, so I'm taking the old one. And I'm just going to kind of use that to buff the color out a little bit more. I'm going to apply a little bit of mascara. Today I am using the NYX Cosmetics On the Rise. I'm just trying to finish this up. Okay, pretty. I am going to add some lashes off camera. I'm not sure what lashes I want to do, but I'm also going to finish this eye, finish the rest of my face, because I think that's all for the collection. It's just eye products. So I'm going to do my face off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, my friends, so I have finished the look. This is it completed. I really like how it turned out. I'm kind of unsure about like the rhinestones I added, but I'm going to leave them anyway, just because I already added them. I don't really want to take them off. It could ruin the look even further, so I'm gonna leave it. But I really enjoy this cut crease. I think it's really pretty. I'll be honest, I don't think Colourpop has launched such a special palette in a long time. I think that this is so unique. There's a lot of shades that I was not able to dupe in my collection, and that might be because I don't have a ton of teals in my collection. So if you do have a lot of blues and greens and teals, then this might not be as unique to you. And I found it to be a really nice addition to my collection. So I'm really excited to have it, and I would highly recommend it. Every single shadow performed really nicely. There was only one of those sequin formulas, which I enjoy because the sequin formulas aren't my favorite. I know that some people really like them, but I personally don't. So the fact that there's only one in here is quite nice to me. And yeah, I just think that there's some really unique shades in here and I really like it. I am very excited to play with it more. I feel like there's a lot of versatility. I mean, obviously the look's gonna be teal, but you could do like tons of different things to create different teal looks. And yeah, I would highly recommend this palette. I think it's really nice and I'm really excited to have it in my collection. I think it's beautiful. The Super Shock shadows, honestly, I didn't even use them today because I didn't really want to stain my lids. It's a Super Shock shadow. They're incredible. The formula is good. It's nothing new. It's just a couple new shades. Actually, this one's not even new, but you know. The cream gel liner is really nice. I don't know about the other one, but this one's pretty and I find that I get a lot of use out of it personally, so maybe it is something to look into. And yeah, overall, I really enjoy this collection and I'm happy I got it. So yeah, I think that's all from me today. This video is probably a million years long, so I'm gonna end it here. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. Please don't forget to subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's okay. I just really appreciate you being here. It helps out my channel so very much by you watching, so thank you. Please leave any video requests you may have in the comments down below and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!